Iran and Israel have traded missiles and airstrikes for a second day this after Israel had launched its air offensive against its old enemy, killing commanders and scientists and also bombing nuclear sites in a stated bid to stop its building an atomic weapon. And fears are now growing that the tensions could spread with global economic as well as financial repercussions. Iranian state TV is reporting that around 60 people, including 20 children, have been killed in an attack on a housing complex in Tehran. At the same time, Israel says Iran has fired around 200 ballistic missiles in 4 waves, sending Israelis into bunkers as waves of missiles streaked across the sky and interceptors rose to meet them. Israel says its operations could last weeks and also warned Iran's leadership that it had crossed a red line and that Tehran would burn if it continues its attack. Iran has also vowed to avenge Friday's Israeli onslaught, which gutted Iran's nuclear as well as military leadership and damaged atomic plants and military bases, killing 78 people, including civilians, according to Iran's UN envoy. Tehran also warned Israel's allies that their regional military bases would come under fire too, should they shoot down Iranian missiles. The rand has weakened sharply today after the recent gains as Israeli military strikes on Iran prompted investors to shy away from riskier assets. The local currency fell nearly 1%, trading at 17 rand 92 cents this morning. And the rand's recent strength has been a major factor in lowering inflation over the past few months. Meanwhile, escalating tensions out in the Middle East have now sparked a gold rally, with investors seeking safer investments. Well, some investors see gold as a more reliable investment in times of uncertainty, and firmer commodity prices have also seen a surge in international oil prices. Brent crude was up 4.6% this morning at $75.70 per barrel, and traders are also concerned that a conflict between Iran and Israel could disrupt oil supplies coming from the energy-rich Middle East region. A combination of a weaker rand as well as higher oil prices could also soon push up the price of fuel as well as food globally.
News that Iran has struck Israeli has got negative implications for South Africa. Politically, Iran is seen as South Africa's friend against Israel. Economically, we saw the oil prices go up. That means if they stay there, there's a possibility of our petrol price going up anywhere between 30 and 50 cents a litre. That means that inflation could then also start to pick up, which means that the path of lower inflation and lower interest rates, that can be disrupted going further. We saw immediately our financial markets selling off. The rand was weaker by 12 cents. Equities closed down, and so did our bond market.
All right, for more on this, let's now bring in the director of the African Center for the Study of the United States at the University of Pretoria, Professor Christopher Isike. Professor, it's always good to have you with us. How are you doing today? So yesterday, the global community must have been on pins and needles, wondering if or when and exactly just how Iran would actually retaliate. But as well, later in the evening, Iran did strike back at Israel. So what do you make of this current situation as we are now looking at the possibilities of a political, economic implication, as well as that rand that is now badly performing?
Well, good afternoon, Alicia, and thank you for having me. I hope you are doing well yourself. Look, this was kind of surprise attacks, and I think is that surprise element caught the Iranians unaware and rendered them, defenseless. And many have said that it resulted to a failure of intelligence, by Tehran. They were not expecting that Israel would attack the country while negotiations were going on with the United States about its nuclear weapons. So they were really caught off guard. And at the end of the day, this ongoing work presents us with 2 possibilities. The first one is that it puts in motion a set of, falling dominoes that will end with the toppling of the Iranian regime, so regime change. And then the second possibility is that Israel does not achieve what it wanted to achieve, and it doesn't get regime change. It's not able to really attack the nuclear facilities as it wanted, and then that could lead to the whole region, set on fire, and that will suck in the United States and Gulf states as well.
Let's talk about the United States, Professor, as it's obviously assisting Israel in their defense. And Trump was pushing for Iran, in fact, putting a lot of pressure for Iran to make a nuclear deal very quickly, he said, in order to be spared. I mean, these kind of warmongering tactics as a basis for bulldozing, negotiating nations into certain decisions. I mean, who gives them such authority? We have had serious conversations, you and I, about how almost all these conflicts have just somehow a hint or undertone of U.S. influence or interference. We're seeing what's currently happening now within the Ukraine as well as Russia conflict.
Yeah, these are the double standards that we see, currently happening in the world. You hear Israel talk all the time about its right to exist,
yes,
and its right to self-defense, but then doesn't give other countries like Lebanon, like Iran now, the same right to exist and the same right to self-defense when it is attacked, like it has just been attacked. So it talks about the decision for deciding that Iran should not have a nuclear weapon because it is assumed that the regime in Tehran is a crazy regime, it's a terrorist regime. But again, you look at what Netanyahu is doing. He's crazy, like Trump himself has said. He's running amok and doing things unilaterally on his own, breaking international laws. He's a war criminal who says that he can be trusted, with a nuclear weapon. So these are the double standards, that underlie the world we currently are in, and they underneath all of it is extreme social injustice that tells you that this is not going to end militarily, even if Iran is decapitated by these attacks and this opportunity it presents Israel to remake the region. The Persian people, by their culture, it's not just a religious thing. They are very resilient and very proud people. They are not going to be told what to do by foreign force. So it has to be through some negotiations, and that should not be gun-butted diplomacy.
So when does international law intervene then, Professor? And then, I mean, this doesn't end just here. How possible then are the chances also? I'm sure you've heard some other commentators of a possible wider conflict. I mean, the UN Security Council was actually meeting on an urgent basis late last night, and the general consensus among some political commentators is that this was long in the planning and making. There's absolutely no way that Israel could have prepared to strike on Iran, and they were just waiting for an opportune reason like this nuclear deal as an excuse. And do you think there's any truth then to these allegations, Prof?
Well, we will never know. We will never really know whether Iran was within days or weeks or months of getting up to nuclear bomb level to attract concern. But we also know that the United States attacked Iraq in 2003 under the pretense of, or based on intelligence that they had nuclear weapons as well, and it turned out to be false, right? So these intelligence sometimes they are faulty, and given the way that Netanyahu is using the opportunity he has over America, the country, the what I call the state capture of America by Israel right now. He can do anything. He can make up anything and strike at any target, believing that he has the full support of the United States, and that the international system would not be able to hold him back. Just yesterday, the United Nations Security Council met for over 2 hours, and there was no headway in terms of trying to resolve this problem, and it speaks to the fact that our international governance systems and models have failed us, and we need to rethink all of them.
Absolutely, Professor. We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your input as always, Professor Christopher Isike, the Access UP on Iran as well as Israel.